Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, and I probably will need this. So before we start, I would like to ask a favor from you. Please picture in your mind maybe what have you heard about NFTs so far this year, because some people probably heard that it's a scam or it's a bubble. On the other hand, you might have met some people with shining eyes, like, yeah, this is the best thing that ever happened to us in this world. So just please picture, like, what do NFTs mean in your mind for gaming and for art and maybe other digital regions? Because for me, NFTs are technology that isn't good or bad, but certainly has its uses. And I love the energy that the community has to keep building on this technology and find some amazing things to do with it. And yeah, so my name is Jakub, and currently I'm the head of BI and game design at SuperScale, where my primary, let's say, target is to explore the ways how we can monetize and make games better, and whether it's using some data-driven efforts or just looking into new trends and analyzing them in depth. Of course, please add me on LinkedIn if you will have any questions. I will be happy to talk to you. And SuperScale itself, our company is a growth partner for some of the largest publishers in the world. We're also working with 2 of the top 10 blockchain gaming companies and several smaller ones. So that's what inspired me to make this talk, because I think that this topic is very hot and interesting. So what we'll be talking about today is mostly, there will be short introduction, of course, about what does NFTs and everything else mean. I will try to keep it short, and then we'll jump into some examples of great usage of NFTs in games, maybe not so great usage, and then we'll talk about cryptocurrencies, what's the difference, tokenomics, and at the end I will try to shine some light on what you should keep in mind if you're trying to move into this space, and what are some predictions for this market going forward. What are some steps that need to happen for NFT games to be viable and profitable long term? So, why would you care about NFTs? Of course, there's 1 billion in investments because I made this picture like month ago, so now it's probably like 3 billion. And there is also like 10 billion in trading volume during the summer, which is interesting because this is already like comparable numbers to the gaming industry as a whole. So it's a very interesting space where there is a lot of growth to go around, and companies from all IT sectors are trying to pitch in, also including some big fashion brands, and see whether they can get part of this growth for themselves. And for me, there's a big plus about the people that are involved, that they have some sort of this magical excitement about this, which for me means that there will be some interesting things happening soon. And for a small technical introduction for people who might not be crypto native, is that blockchain is a database or infrastructure. There is not only Bitcoin, there is a lot of them, just as you can use different databases for your game. And it's just a place where you store the transaction and which can execute the transactions in a trustworthy way. A great thing for us as game developers is that the general public already trusts blockchain, and they understand that when something is written there, no one can change it, even though it might not be true always, but it's a good thing for us if we are going into this space. Then the cryptocurrencies are money, so technically just a way how you pay for the transactions and for the items on the network. And NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, are items. They can represent any sort of digital asset or a digital item. And even though you are not storing these items directly on blockchain, you are, let's say, storing their signature or a link where you can find them. And what's important about them is that you can always tell them apart. So if so in real world, when you have like 1,000 water bottles, it's very hard to tell one apart from another. But on blockchain, you can always tell that this is the water bottle that previously was brought by Nastya or someone else. So let's go into, let's say, the value proposition of the NFTs. So the biggest value of NFTs in general is that they provide to people true ownership of their digital assets. This is super important because up until now, it was very hard to have the feeling of owning digital assets. This is doubly true for digital art. Like when you're an artist and making digital art, you can like sell it maybe on Patreon for some subscription. But it was very hard to actually own something. The same goes for, let's say, places where already NFTs kind of existed, but were not really NFTs. For example, Steam Marketplace. So you could actually buy a skin for your gun or for your knife, but it was still in custody of, let's say, Valve in this sense. And even if you sold it, there was no way to get the money out of the ecosystem. So you could just use it to buy some more games within Valve's ecosystem. So this is something that has like large implications, and of course no one knows what everything it will mean. But I think that people like this feeling that they actually own it, whether it's a part of the company or part of the ecosystem, and that they can do whatever they want with it. Also, one important thing is the proof of authenticity. So previously, if you had a piece of digital art or an asset and someone made a copy of it, there was no way to tell like which one is the original and which one is not. Here, even when you're, let's say, going on a secondary marketplace, like you can always tell that this item that I'm buying, this token, is authentic, and when I buy it from this person, it will work for me in the game or in real life. So previously, for example, if you wanted to sell something in the games that did not have NFTs, for example, some drop from World of Warcraft or Diablo, you had to go on eBay, and it was against terms of service, and it was essentially a gray market, and you never knew whether you will get what you are actually buying. This also is something that is a thing of the past for economies that are using NFTs. And I would like to say that NFTs are not inherently good or bad. Like, there are definitely projects currently that will fail. There are uses that are not optimal and that are just made quickly to get some quick cash out of the hype. But I truly believe that long term we will see more and more of these genuinely good uses of NFTs. And as far as we're talking about art, they're also not inherently copyrights or licenses. So just because you own an NFT, it doesn't give you the option to, let's say, monetize it in different ways if you do not enter an agreement with the party. So let's talk about games now. On the right, you can see some examples of NFTs that have been sold in the games. One of the more expensive ones, of course, not the most expensive. So, for example, on the does it work? Yeah. So on the top right corner, you can see Citadel of the Sun. There was like 5 of these. It's essentially a huge building in a fantasy world of Mirandus, developed by Gala Games. This game is not even, let's say, playable right now. There were some early alpha playtests. However, they managed to to sell NFTs to this game worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And what's interesting about selling places of in-game worlds, also here you can see from Axie Infinity, like 9 pieces of land for $1.5 million, that it's something that can work for you long term. And when we are talking about play-to-earn economies, like you own land, people are using it, they are, let's say, farming some currencies in there, and you can get a portion of that long term. So it's, we'll get to some good examples, but as you can see, pieces of in-game worlds have a very high value right now. And here, this cute orange guy, his name is Angel. He's one of the most expensive Axies ever sold. You can imagine it as a Pokemon, which is randomly generated and has good statistics. So what do NFTs in games do well? Is definitely represent rare assets or limited assets. As you can see, the Citadel of the Sun, there is only 4 of them in the world, let's say. Also, there is like 0.00 something chance to produce this kind of Pokemon. So these are definitely collectibles that make sense to do NFTs from. What they are not ideal, on the other hand, because there have been developers that would make everything an NFT, right? And all the in-game currencies would be cryptocurrencies suddenly. And it seems that this is not the optimal way how to do it, because if you make unlimited assets or currencies into NFTs, what will happen is that their value will long-term go to 0, and essentially for the new players, they can just go to these open markets and purchase everything in the game for $1. And they are also not ideal to represent objects subject to large changes, because when you invest this kind of money into some object and then it gets nerfed, it's not a very good thing for the community. And what is very important, NFTs in games, this will be, I will repeat this a few times, do not make bad games work long term. Yes, of course, it can happen that if you add NFTs as a prize for a tournament, that people can get more engaged and the retention can go up short term, but you still need to have a solid game to make it in this space. One example of, let's say, how do open economies evolve is League of Kingdoms, which is a Forex game. And this is a screenshot from August, where you can see that 10 million gold was worth about $150 on secondary market, and 1 plot of land was worth about 2,000 USD. So what do you think happened after 3 months? So here you can see that the same 10 million gold now costs $1. So it might have been better for the developer to keep it as a, let's say, free-to-play economy purchase or microtransaction, while on the other hand, the land NFTs, which are limited, these are very similar ones in properties to the previous one, now costs about 8,000 US dollars. But there are also very good uses for NFTs. One particular example is So Rare, which is a fantasy football game where you collect player cards, and with them you join tournaments and you can earn, let's say, real money with that, or let's say cryptocurrencies. They raised almost 700 million at 4 billion valuation, and this is the design of the cards and everything represents very well what NFTs should be about. They have different rarities. The higher rarities you have, the higher tournaments you can play, and the more you can earn. And of course, like the higher rarity, the more expensive are the players. Also, you as a developer can take royalties from secondary trades between the players. So once they got the rich community with liquid marketplace, people are suddenly not afraid to spend like $1,000, $10,000, $100,000 on this game because they know when I will find a better player or I'm bored with it, I can just put it on the marketplace and someone else will buy it. So just to like quickly sum up, is like the impact of NFTs in games is that the messaging is a very good marketing incentive currently, because if I'm a player, of course, I would rather play a game when I can own a part of the world, or I can have control over my assets, as opposed to the same game where I do not own anything. The players in certain genres seem to really love the vision of player-built economies and the fact that, yeah, we are together building this game and we have influence about how the game is going to be developed. From the monetization standpoint, what is currently like this, and it remains to be seen whether it will continue to be like that, we can see that there is at least 10x difference in how much high spenders are spending in NFT games. This goes for some examples from our portfolio as well. And if this will be true, then in certain genres where NFTs are a good fit, we think that the business model of NFTs will eclipse the free-to-play business models if there are no like significant, let's say, legal challenges and other issues. And the issues of this model is that there are no proven long-term sustainable models for play-to-earn. What I mean by play-to-earn is games that are primarily messaging that come to this game and you will earn money. Of course, this is a hard thing to make sustainable because you can only pay money that you get from someone else, right? And part of it is going to development and other, let's say, other expenses. So there is no such thing as a long-term sustainable play-to-earn yet. And the tokenomics are hard and can make or break the community. There are games like Crypto Blades and many other examples where they had a great pre-sales, strong community from the start, but after 2 months there was no one because there were bots that started playing the game and the prices of the tokens crashed. The market manipulation of the token price made it unsustainable for the players to play the game. So there is a lot that we need to learn, and the game developers here need to secure their tokenomics very well. And when I'm talking about tokenomics, that's where we move from items in the games to currencies in the games. Because to make it more confusing, it's not just about NFTs, it's also about the cryptocurrencies themselves. So just as in real world, when you have an item and you want another item, you either have to try to find some barter between them, which is not very efficient. Like, I want to sell this water bottle, but you only have your own things. It's very hard to find the correct match. So that's why we need a monetary system for the peer-to-peer market, so essentially money. And this is what cryptocurrencies are. They are just in real world, just a universal representation of value of the things in the ecosystem. The one interesting thing is that they are able to connect the value of NFTs and digital goods to real world money, which means that if I invest something into a game that will not die because of bots or something else, then if I need it, I can take my investment back and do something else with it. And just the technical technical part is that they also make NFT minting and transactions work. So you pay for the work needed to do transactions on blockchain with these currencies as well. And again, yet again, they are not ideal to represent easily farmed in-game currencies. So as soon as you connect something to, let's say, real-world money or like physical money, traditional money, like dollars, and but you are able to produce like infinite amounts of it, it will probably cost nothing in a certain amount of time. And they are also not the best to be the only measure of price. So it will happen that someone that has like a few $1 billion on their account decides to buy your tokens, and suddenly one token doesn't cost like 1 cent, but it costs like $2. So it's 200 times price difference. At the same time, the same guy or some early adopter can sell 1 million of your tokens at the same time. And if you had like if you had a static price for your item, let's say 10,000 of my tokens, the price will have high volatility. That's why large companies such as Gala Games, they always connect the price not to amount of tokens, but to, let's say, US dollars currency. So the same item can cost 1,000 Gala tokens today and 2,000 Gala tokens tomorrow, but it's still the same dollar price. And because of this, the crypto tokens are not primarily an investment or store of value. They should be used in the moment to, let's say, make the transaction work. It's like, okay, like if I need to buy something, it costs 2,000, so I need to sell something that costs 2,000. But you cannot really expect from the gaming companies to have like solid reserve currency. So let's talk about like some examples. So this is how Axie Infinity looks like. They are on the way to earn $1 billion in 2021. And it's essentially like a Pokemon game that have randomly generated creatures. And based on their statistics, they also have different skills, different stats. So there are rare Axies that have better stats and better skills, and let's say more common ones that have weaker ones. All of these Axies are NFTs. And to start playing this game, you need to invest at least, let's say, $600. Or you need to get a scholarship from someone else. So there are companies now that own a lot of these Axies and rent them to players for a portion of their earnings. They tackled the problem with the cryptocurrencies that are easily farmable, that their value is going down, in an interesting way that they have two cryptocurrencies. One of them is easily earned, which is SLP. And one of them is not so easily earned, which is AXS. And players are strongly incentivized to keep the AXS within the economy. So what does it mean in reality? It's like if you want to make a new Axie, it costs like, if you already, depending on how many offspring the particular Axie already has, it can cost $175 to $1,000. Of course, these prices are subject to change. And subject to change means that, for example, SLP, the Smooth Love Potion, the easily farmed currency that people were earning money in Philippines and all these news, like it got, for example, from 40 cents to 7 cents in 90 days. I think today it's about 4 cents per one SLP. And on the other hand, excess price, this is not easily farmable. Players are heavily incentivized to keep it in the ecosystem. Price is raising up. And whenever you want to make a new Axie, you need to pay both AXS and SLP. So this takes a bit out of the volatility. And this takes me to the sustainability of the play to earn. So what I consider play to earn is you tell players to get into the game, earn some of the tokens, and get the money out in real world currency. And it's not about like come and play our game for a long time and enjoy it, and if you really need to, then take the money out. So it's a great incentive for user acquisition and engagement, as we've seen also in Philippines and in some Venezuela. But it's inherently hard to sustain. And what it means in reality is a player that earned 3,000 SLP in July could earn like $500, which can be a decent living in different countries in the world, and now earns only $150 or maybe $100. So what we like imagine would be the better way how to go about this is moving to play and earn. Like primarily you should play the game and enjoy it just as you have been enjoying before, but you can also keep some of the value and some of the time and money investment you put into the game. So that would be an evolution rather than revolution of the gaming business, and just for certain genres, for certain games, it will make more sense to give players this freedom, and they will win on the market because they provide better value to the players. So playing for fun first, money second. And I included the picture from Magic the Gathering. I'm not sure how many of you play this game, but I told myself that I would never like spend a lot of money on a board game. However, these cards are like physical NFTs, and there is a secondary marketplace. So I told to myself, even when I was like a poor student, that yeah, I can buy this card for $100 because if I ever need the money, I can like sell it to someone else and probably get at least part of my investment back. And that's why I have a lot of these cards sitting at home. And even though I could sell them, and my friends who are no longer playing could sell them, I don't believe that anyone did. So this is the kind of NFT that makes sense to me, that people enjoy owning the things and just keep them, because maybe one day I will come back to the game and make use of it. So the necessary components to be a bit more serious is to incentivize players to keep their money in the ecosystem. Because as soon as players are all taking out their money, it ruins the ecosystem for everyone. So you need long-term community and social engagement, because you need players to be able to sell their possessions to other players for them to have any value. And it's also the careful balance of NFT and token supply and demand. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. So the careful balance of the supply and demand is important. As I showed you, if you have infinite supply tokens and NFTs, their price will be zero. So don't do that. And one more thing that I didn't see in many podcasts and talk is talk about security and Q&A. Like you're halfway, if you have your own token and your token economy, you're halfway between a game developer and a central bank. So you should like consider it this way. And of course, when you will have a lot of money in your treasury or in your ecosystem, you will be also a much larger target for hackers and exploits from all sides. So you have to have a much higher security and Q&A and audits if you want to survive in this space. Because like you can be doing great for a long time, but then when someone mints like 10 billion or 10 trillion of your tokens to different people, like you're as good. That's not going to end well for you. What do I mean by keeping investment in the ecosystem? There are two examples that I would like to show you. The first one is by Gala Games, which has a play-to-earn game called Townstar, yes. And they also have in development, I believe, 20 plus other games. So, for example, they incentivize players to keep their investment in the ecosystem by Gala Power, which by the amount of tokens that you hold on your account and do not move them out, your Gala Power is increasing. And the more Gala Power you have, the more NFTs that you own you can use in their play-to-earn titles. And the more NFTs you are using in their play-to-earn titles, the more tokens you are earning every day. And AXS, the Axie, took like the more standard crypto route, is that if you lock these tokens for several years in our ecosystem, you will get some reward. So they reserved 30% of all the AXS tokens as a reward for people that will not take out these tokens. So to slowly wrap up this presentation, we believe in play first, earn second. And we believe that the gaming companies will value their community even more. And the players will be comfortable to invest much more time and money into games that provide them custody or ownership of their digital assets. We also think that the NFTs should not be used for everything, but just for things that bring real value to the players. And we should keep in mind that it's for the players and not just yeah, it's a cool technology, let's put it for everything. And the best performing NFTs will contain strong social aspects and strong utility both in-game or in real world. And I think last but not least, as I repeat it over and over and over again, just the economies have to be sustainable, and you should separate the in-game economies from peer-to-peer economies if you do not have a very good control about the supply of some token. So for example, if you have some in-game currencies, if you can farm them easily and the high-level players can farm them easily, then do not make them available for peer-to-peer economies, because then if I'm a new player, I can buy the whole game for $1 on the secondary market. And thus, real-world economics will be much more important for game developers in this space. So just a summary, NFTs and cryptocurrencies are here to stay. I think it's an evolution. It's not maybe it's a bit of a bubble, but it's definitely here to stay, and they provide real values to players. And for companies that provide more value to players, they always win. So I'm here to win. And free-to-play will increasingly leverage NFTs and blockchain for further growth. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was a very interesting speech, and well, it looks like everyone is talking about NFTs right now. So I'm pretty sure people have a lot of questions, so we can start a Q&A session. Yep. And
Thanks, Jakub, for your speech. It was really interesting. I'm Mike from Zagrava Games. My question is, what's your opinion about whole games as NFTs, especially from a cross-platform point of view? Such as we have in real-time world cards on memory cards on Nintendo, DVDs on PlayStation. Would it be possible in nearest future to buy a game on Steam, then transfer it to Nintendo or PlayStation, for example, and sell it on the secondary market as well? Thanks.
Thank you very much for the question. I believe that key in this would be the stance of the platforms themselves, especially Sony and Microsoft. So I don't think this will happen until they will have their own way how to do it. If that answers your question. I think the technology allows it, but the corporations will allow it only if they can do it their way and have a share from it.
yeah.
I have a pretty interesting question. Presentation was very good and the use of NFT, but 1 month ago, Steam banned all NFT games. So if there are so many good things for developer, why did it happen? And what should new projects do, and how should they promote their NFT games now? Because Steam is a big place to promote their games. So this is basically a question, why is Steam banned, and what should new developers do with NFT projects?
Thank you very much. That's a very good question, because we are also, of course, thinking about this a lot. So why did Steam ban NFTs? I think there are 2 reasons. One is that it's legally still a gray area, about if they do not have a very good control of what games with NFTs players put in there, they do not want to get into securities coercion and some other legal troubles in the US. And the second is that they already have Steam Workshop, which is essentially NFTs, but not because it's still custodial. So if you buy anything there, you can sell it to other players. It is a marketplace, but you can never get the money out. So they do not like this kind of free competition on their platform. And as far as marketing in NFT games, the good news is that Meta or Facebook previously decided to lift their ban on cryptocurrencies and their applications, so that it will be easier to market on Facebook. And other than that, for smaller developers, but also larger, it's mostly still a crypto space. So if you are able to market for people who already have cryptocurrencies or are using let's say technologies that are exclusive for this target audience, that's the way where you can find your audience.
Hi, Jakub. Thank you for your presentation. I have a few questions, like in general about the crypto. So the dollar is a taxable asset as well, as you said previously. So considering that crypto tokens are equivalent of a dollar, do you think that crypto should be taxed by state? And in general, is a regulation by state is possible under conditions of anonymity? Thank you.
Can you please repeat the last part?
Yeah, is a regulation is possible in conditions of anonymity in general by the state? Mm-hmm. I mean, in the crypto is anonymity tokens, like they are anonymous. Yeah, we don't need like to understand where they currently. The crypto is like anonymous stuff that where you not need verification of the person that holding some tokens, etc. But is a regulation by state is possible, like in these conditions?
Okay, thank you for the question. The regulation is definitely possible, and unfortunately, it's very different in every country. There are countries where if you hold a cryptocurrency for 3 months, you do not have to pay taxes from it. There are countries where you not only have to pay taxes for it when you transfer it to fiat money, but for every change between cryptocurrencies. You also, in some countries, for example mine, you also need to pay health tax. So there is a very, very different, let's say, regulations, and you should always check how it's working in your country. And while it's very hard for the regulators currently to police these or enforce them, it still doesn't mean that it's legal to like avoid the regulations in your country. And most of the cryptocurrencies are not very anonymous. And because of the anti-money laundering laws, it's also dangerous for operators of cryptocurrencies not to enforce the, let's say, checking of identity of their clients. So I don't think it's very anonymous, and there are definitely regulations that you need to be aware of. On the other hand, it's not very hard for the players to tax their income. It's just income as any other in most of the countries.
Hello, Jakub. Thank you for your lecture. I am from their country NFT game, and I have a question for you about gaming on blockchain. Do you think there is a most suitable chain for games, like Ethereum or something like that? Or do you think the chances for making a successful game on chain are even on each technology?
Thank you. I think that it's quite difficult to use some of the older chains currently as a developer because every transaction can cost $100 on Ethereum. The similar goes for Binance Smart Chain, probably not 100, but it's also very expensive. So probably for developers looking to enter this market, they should either consider making their own chain and their own tokenomics, and they will be their own national bank. Or if they want to use someone else's technology, then it will be, let's say, Polygon, Solana, or some of the others. Some of the other chains that have fast and cheap transactions.
Hi, Jacob. Thank you for the presentation. I have a question. So if I don't want to build an NFT-based game, I don't want to build some cryptocurrencies around it. I just have a game, let's say shooter or any like kind of game city builder, and I want to take a real value of NFTs, like to have some specific, let's say, gun or some, I don't know, like some building, and put it to as NFT. How can I do it right now?
Thank you. That's a good question because it's also very relevant for companies that are on Google Play or Apple App Store, which are not very happy to see, let's say, external stores and alternative ways how to pay on their apps. So here you have an option. There are definitely Unity plugins and other like technical means how you can mint something on an existing chain, for example, Polygon. And so you need your players to create a wallet on this chain, and then you can just give them the NFT, like mint it on their wallet.
So the user will need to create a wallet. This is the first, I would say, complicated step in mass market because not all the users in the mass market will understand how to do it. The second, I believe that when I mint any NFT, as a developer, I need to pay for gas, right? So like, and it like to mint and then transfer to user's wallet, I need to pay gas, and it also, like you said, we can't create a lot of NFTs because in this case we'll need to pay a lot of gas as well. So this is also, like the bottom line here, as I think.
If I can react quickly, so this might be true if you are on Ethereum chain or some of the expensive chains, but for example, on Polygon, I believe minting costs fractions of 1 cent. So even if you mint like 1,000 of these unique items that people just got in the game, like it will cost you maybe $1. So, and also, I think that the biggest bottleneck in adoption of, let's say, cryptocurrencies is not creation of the wallet, because that's fairly simple, but it's the, let's say, KYC, so identity checks on the exchanges. So as long as you don't need your players to pay you in cryptocurrencies, it's fairly easy, because you can create them your own wallet. You can link them on MetaMask or some of the other like consumer wallets that are very easy to set up, and you just give them the NFT for free. It costs you very low amount of money, but as soon as you want to sell your NFTs for cryptocurrencies, that's where the onboarding gets crazy, because the player needs to create a wallet, they need to create an account on an exchange, they need to prove their identity to the exchange, they need to send like USDs or euro or some currency to the exchange, they need to exchange it for your cryptocurrency, then send it to their wallet, connect their wallet with your application, and then they can buy something. So that's the real bottleneck here, in my experience.
Okay, thank you. Just one last question. Do I need to create my own cryptocurrency for my game in this case?
You don't have to, and in this case, there is no need. Like if you should create your own cryptocurrency if it's an important part of your ecosystem economy, because you want to have control over it. But if you just want to give people NFTs, then it's even better if it's on some other chain which they can then trade on third-party marketplaces.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. I'm Michał from Huawei App Gallery. The proponents of NFT games, which there are many these days, they often claim that the problem that game developers have is that there is the secondary market of the items, whatever cosmetic items and so on. Yes, that you get something and then you lose. As a game developer, you sell something and then you lose control because people trade, and NFT is supposed to solve this problem because you can get the let's say the percentage of any transaction. Yes, so you have control. Isn't it against the whole idea of digital goods, where actually your business is that people don't trade your stuff, but it costs nothing to create new, right? And it's much better for game developer to create new whatever cosmetic items, whatever they are, from loot boxes and so on, and sell new rather than keep the small percentage, whatever, 3-5% of the transactions they made. Again, it's, the use in this case is very limited, in my opinion. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. I think that you make a good point from the developer's perspective. However, it's important to see also like how the players look at it, right? Because if the players will be always comparing company that have similar games, because that happens in our line of business. And in one of them, they will have an option to choose whether they want to like have the NFTs and this, let's say, peer-to-peer based economy on, let's say, the rare stuff in the game, or they want to play the free-to-play variant without NFTs. So, and I don't have the answer right now, like how it will be, but I think that the deciding factor will be, in the end, the players themselves, not the game developers.
Hi, Jakub. Thank you for this presentation. It was very interesting. I wanted to ask you about the monetization models. I've heard about the game Big Time, as I remember. Big Time. Are they trying to combine a subscription model with the, how do you call it? One second. Free to play, but this is
play to earn.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Thank you. What do you think about that? And also, I saw games that make you buy the first pack, and then you just and after that, I would call it, it's free. Yeah.
Well, I think that there is currently not such a good understanding of what will work and what will not work in this space. So I think it's definitely worth it to try different use cases, ranging from like giving the NFTs for free just to increase engagement and retention, because yeah, players will love it. Like just win this tournament or join this event, get the max score, and you will get an NFT for free. Like we've seen this work, and that's one use case. And on the other side of the spectrum, you have these play-to-earn games where everything is a cryptocurrency and you play for your living. And I think right now everything in between is fair game, and it remains to be seen.
Okay, thanks. I have one more question. Also saw a trend that some games make, how they call them, ability for players to be the, how to call, not the committee.
Yeah, they can vote on what will happen with the game. So this is another incentive to get invested into ecosystem. It's like they combine like at least I know that Gala Games have like voting system for the node owners in their ecosystem, but it's kind of interesting because they propose the voting, so often like the result of what the vote will be depends on what options you write and how well you write them. So I still think that the developers have a lot of say in these organizations, but players definitely love it, and the community is very engaged in discussions about these votes and are happy to pay a lot of money to be one of the people who can vote about the future of the ecosystem.
Thank you.
Hello, Jakub. My name is Ivana. Thank you for your presentation. I would like to ask you about influence of adding NFT to the game on such things like GDPR and some privacy rules. Should a company that is doing this apply more strict rules, like for those sensitive data when a player should have his wallet?
So just to make sure that I heard you correctly, are you asking whether the companies should still care about the privacy and security regulations when working with cryptocurrencies?
No, I'm asking, should the company apply more strict rules? Because usually when we are just gathering some data, we apply already for some GDPR or some other privacy policy of other countries. But in case we add some sensitive data, like some finance or some other data, we should apply some or comply with strict rules that these all regulations just require.
Thank you for the question. I'm not a lawyer, so I'll just say what my best idea is currently, and that is that it's not clear yet for the regulators whether all these random cryptocurrencies are actually financial assets and if the wallets are like bank accounts or it's just like on Steam Marketplace or owning, I don't know, magic cards. I think it's a gray area, and currently I don't believe that you need to treat this wallet information as private, because also the blockchain itself is very public. So you can check what anyone is owning on most of the blockchains. So I think it remains to be seen. And yeah, just because you are storing the wallet information itself, I don't think that you need to consider the stronger regulations.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. What do you think? Is it the great idea to integrate the NFTs or tokens in the current games? I mean, in Match 3, Counter-Strike, World of Warcraft, whatever. Or it's you should, as the developer, you should to create the new games which utilize the power of NFTs and cryptocurrencies as it is?
That's a good question. To be honest, I don't think many people have an answer to this question, but my personal feeling is that we should be trying both if you have the capability. I know that a lot of developers are purely iOS and Google Play, so it's not an option for them to create a NFT-only game because they don't have the experience, the infrastructure to make browser games or PC games. So for them, it's definitely something to try out, but keep in mind the demographics. I think that the Match 3 demographics are the furthest, let's say, from or maybe there are some even further, but I think that the most people interested in NFTs are young people, and I also think that it's still predominantly male audience. So if you're considering whether this will be interesting for your players, I think this is one thing to consider.
Thank you for presentation. Can you comment a situation with energy consumption while minting NFT and using blockchain technology? Is it a big problem for gaming industry?
Thank you very much. This is definitely a problem for some of the chains. Mostly, of course, Bitcoin is, I mean, it's not ruining our planet just yet, but it consumes a lot of energy. Also, Ethereum currently is consuming a lot of energy, even though it's still also not ruining our planet. But there are, for example, I know that Solana costs very little energy. So, for example, if you make a transaction on Solana, it's equivalent of 2 Google searches, I think. It's just like almost nothing. Also, Polygon is very cheap because they use a different algorithm to confirm transactions. And the same will be true for Ethereum because they already, you can already use like proof of stake, which is the more efficient way how to do it. And they will probably transition to this fully like next year. And as far as Bitcoin is concerned, you can also use Lightning Network, which is, let's say, something that allows cheap transactions on Bitcoin, which also don't use so much energy. So, for example, if you want to have a coffee shop or like a game where you can pay with Bitcoin, you should use Lightning Network instead of Bitcoin directly.
Thank you for presentation. I'd like to ask you what do you think about using NFT items like cross game between different games? It sounds like a nice opportunity, but I'm sure that there are some hidden problems. Have you thought about such using of NFTs?
Thank you. As soon as you also have crypto tokens, then you essentially can transform any NFT from one game to an NFT in another game. So, like these. So, for example, I keep coming back to Gala games because they're the only ones that have more games currently, and you can see how the ecosystem works now. But they have their token, and if you want to move from one Gala game to another, you just sell your NFTs in one game and go to the other. But if the NFTs are, for example, very limited or rare or collectible, you might not want to sell them, and that's where it might make sense to make them usable for more of your games.
Hello. Which restrictions right now we have to publish and promote NFT game in platforms such as App Store and Google Play, and what they are going to do regarding this? Maybe they are going to update policies and work with such, as you said, new phenomenon, play-to-earn model.
Yeah, thank you. I do not know what they are going to do, and currently, like as of today, like it's not possible, to my best knowledge, to make play-to-earn games on iOS and the Google Play Store. I don't know whether it changes a bit because on the 9th of December, Apple needs to like allow external payments or links to stores outside of App Store. I don't know what this means. So yeah, that's a question for some lawyers to check the terms of service, whether it's possible or not.
So maybe some workarounds?
Like the workaround that is possible is if you are not selling these NFTs directly. So you can just give them to people and motivate them this way. As far as I know, for example, Epic.gg, it's a company that's working with Gameloft and Ubisoft to bring NFTs. And as far as I know, they were just awarding NFTs in Asphalt 9, for example, in the racing game. So if you do not make an alternative store, then you are fine.
So only selling is prohibited, yes?
Yeah, that's my understanding, that this is the problem for Apple and Google, because you're circumventing their tax on the payments.
I understand. Thank you.
I guess we have no more questions left. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't see any more hands, so thanks a lot for a great presentation. And well, we are waiting for you next time here with us.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone.